and welcome to another episode of Industry Celebrities and Texas Apartment Association Education Foundation Room to Grow podcast series. My name's that Kimberly. My mama calls me Kimberly Dawn Scott. And I'm here today with Mrs. Cayce.
I am Cayce Coon.
Yes, you are. And we're going to ask her a few questions that we should all learn from. So,
okay.
Tell everybody what you do and who you do it for.
Yeah, I am the Director of Operations in DFW for Madera Residential.
Madera. Oh, well, hello, Mr. Jeff and
Dave Marcinkowski. It's a mouthful.
You can say his last name.
9 years later. Yep.
That's awesome. So tell the folks how long you've been in the industry and just give a little background.
Sure. So I've been in the industry now 13 years.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. I had been bartending and loved that. Yeah. I got into that in college, moved to Fort Worth with it. And I had a very nice lady who frequented happy hour here and there. And she was
remain nameless?
Yeah. And she was a property manager.
Oh, okay.
And she was after me to come to work for her. And it took me about a year. And finally, the carrot of normal hours and fancy clothes. And I'm like, okay, let's try it. And
hours and fancy clothes.
Well, after bartending.
Yeah, I know. I paid my way through college with bartending, so I get it.
Yep. And going home not smelling like food or booze, that was a delight. So I jumped in and became a leasing agent for her 13 years ago.
Wow, that's awesome. Do you remember the property's name that you started at?
I was at Amesbury Court. I was with Sentinel Management in North Fort Worth.
That's amazing. Yeah. Well, good for you for taking that jump.
Yeah.
That is definitely amazing. It is one thing that I always tell myself I wish I would have started earlier. Mm-hmm. You know, I actually went to Florida, and I've never told the story. I went to Florida for 2 years after I graduated and didn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. And this woman asked me, hey, because, I'm super bubbly. I'm always been bubbly. I don't need coffee to wake up in the morning. I just wake up that way, unfortunately or fortunately. Mm-hmm. And she's like, are you looking for a job? Because she knew I was new. And I was like, I don't want to live on, she's like, yeah, you live on site. Because we were applying for the property. And you live on site and work. I was like, I don't know if I like that, And so I said, nah. And I went to bartending on the beach, which is an amazing experience in itself.
Sure.
But I could have, I'm supposed to be where I'm at. God puts you where you're supposed to be at the right time, the right places. But I didn't take it. But I wish back then, because I remember specifically somebody trying to recruit me, and I said, no, I don't know how I feel about that. I thought it was kind of weird that she was even asking me.
Yes. I wish I would have gotten in it earlier, but having somebody try to recruit me in retrospect, I'm like, why did I wait a year?
Why do you think they tried to recruit you?
Because I was a bubbly bartender. She knew I would be good at sales. I could upcharge her to a double pretty frequently. So
and great customer service, because that's how you work for your tips, right?
Absolutely.
So you know how to take care of those that pay your bills.
Yes. So she saw that.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
It just took me a minute.
Oh, hey. Well, we're glad you're here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
So you already kind of led into how you got your start. So what do you love the most about being in, the apartment biz, multifamily?
In the apartment business as a whole, probably my favorite thing is the fact that it's constantly evolving. So you're never going to master this position. Yeah. So for me, that means I'm never going to be bored.
Okay.
There's always something new, right? There's always a new challenge. There's always some change that is going to affect all of us.
Yeah.
And as an industry, it's unique to me that we're competitors in a lot of ways, but we work together to achieve that. If there's a crisis, we're all going to come together and conquer together. And
absolutely.
I like that. I think that's probably my favorite part of it. And we impact people's lives.
Yeah.
Positively.
Absolutely, yeah.
I hope all of the time. But
sometimes not all the time. I'm a double agent, so I am a renter. I don't know if I told you that, but I am a double agent. Shout out to Nicole. She gave me that. I'm going to go ahead and take that label on. I'm the double agent. But yes, absolutely.
So we're impacting residents' lives, we're impacting communities, and we're impacting our team's lives as well.
100%. So, that's awesome.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
It's all awesome.
And that's what you love about it. No day is ever the same.
Never.
Ever.
I can't imagine an industry that has that like we do. It truly does change day to day.
Yeah. The hospitality industry, the restaurant industry, and I think military for sure, if you're in those lines, I do definitely think that those three specific industries are never a day is the same.
Right.
But multifamily is similar.
Well, and
100%.
thinking on their feet.
Absolutely.
And providing service, and we all of those industries do that.
Yes, absolutely. So that's awesome. So let me ask you this. So are you involved in your local association?
Yes, I'm very involved in my local association.
Very involved.
I love my local association.
What is your local association?
Well, I have two. I'm in Dallas-Fort Worth. So I'm part of AATC in Tarrant County and part of the Greater Dallas AAGD as well.
Awesome. And those are two totally separate associations you must become members of.
Yes, yes.
But how did you get started in whichever one? Which, like, I want you to tell me the first meeting you ever went to or why you got involved. Somebody that, like, said, hey, you got to check this out.
Absolutely. I wanted to get my CAM certification, my Certified Apartment Manager, NAA designation. And so I took that class at AATC's local office and got to know some of the staff there. And they kept talking to us about the committees and what all the association does.
Doing their job.
This is interesting.
Awesome.
And they sold me on it.
Yeah.
And I dove into education. That was my passion. So I was like, I'll try that first.
Yeah.
Dive into the education committee, and I'm still active on the education committee.
That's awesome.
Loved it. But I do remember that first meeting. I remember the first couple meetings. It was pretty scary. They were all very warm and welcoming.
Yes,
but I'm walking into something so foreign. I don't know anybody.
You're like, oh my God, why are these people so nice to me? What's going on?
And they're like, does anybody have a good idea? And I'm like, I do. You know, should I say something? Am I allowed to? You know, so it took a minute, but by meeting 3, it was smooth sailing, and I love being a part of that with the ATC.
Awesome. That is awesome. It is. They're both great associations. You know, I always like to tell my friends that are not in the apartment business, every city you live in has a local apartment association. Whether you know about it or not, it's there.
Yes.
So go check it out. Google it. Google is your mother.
Yes.
It is. So people are very like, huh? And then the fact that people don't know, for Texas, I should say, if you're a member for one local, whether it's San Angelo, it's Beaumont, it's Tarrant County, it's Houston, it doesn't matter. I'm trying to name, you know, Corpus Christi.
El Paso.
Shut up.
I got
you. So bad I should be saying all that.
I got you.
That you were a member of the state of TAA, Texas Apartment Association.
And once I got involved locally, you start figuring it all out, and they help fill in the gaps. And
that was more for suppliers.
Awesome.
That was most of the suppliers know when I call them to get a booth. Like, I don't think we're a member of TA. You don't.
Yes, you are.
If you're a member of your local, then you're a member of the state.
Yes, absolutely. It's like dual citizenship or something. There you go.
There you go. It quite is. So that is something that I always am fond of, is hearing people's first association, you know, whether it's committee, meeting, or whatever, you know, because it just takes somebody to, you know, for you to go check it out, get involved, and then really start seeing the impacts that you know.
Oh, yes. It's a give and take. It's so rewarding.
It's volunteerism at its finest.
Absolutely. And I think one of my first meetings, a veteran of association, Anita Horde. Shout out Anita. But Anita, yes. She was one of the first ladies that I met, and I had just become a regional. I'd just been promoted into my first regional position. And she gave me her card and told me they specialize in a lot of tax credit stuff. And so later on, we were taking on some properties, and they had a little tax credit piece. And I'm baffled. I mean, this is all foreign to me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that sweet Anita lady that talked to me in the meeting. I reach out to Anita. I send Anita a 300-page document in an hour. She tells me exactly what I need to know. And I became a hero in my company. I'm like, thank you, Anita.
Yeah.
So it's just a fun relationship for that aspect, too.
They're great people. I actually have a great story about Judy. Yeah,
it's fun connections.
Absolutely. And just, I could go. That's a whole other podcast. Yeah. So tell someone why they should think about, like, tell your fellow restaurant industry folks in the world why they should consider looking into something, whether it's management or supplier side.
Sure. I mean, for starters, we're closer to bank hours. I mean, we're not, but we're not bartending hours.
That's right. Not late nights, that's for sure.
Yes. So getting back on a routine, especially once you start having children and a family and a spouse that works normal hours, there's part one that makes our industry very...
There should be some lower graphics that go, listen.
It makes it pretty appealing. The other part that this has been beneficial for me getting in this industry is the ability to pick up and move and work anywhere.
Yeah.
So my husband's job early on got transferred out to Phoenix, Arizona, and I'd only been a leasing agent prior, and I move out there, and it's like, do I go back to bartending? Like, what do I pick up?
That's hard.
I'm going to try that apartment gig again. I pick up apartments out in Arizona and did great out there, and was actually able to be transferred back to Texas when my husband was transferred back.
You go, sister, with your
so
bad self.
I love that this is an industry you can just pick up and move.
Well, I wouldn't say just pick up and move. You have to do your job well. You have to network and know some people.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
I make it sound easy.
Yeah, kind of. It's a lot easier than it used to be because now there's something called social media and LinkedIn. Yeah. But yeah, you do have a huge network. You have the knowledge that you could go and apply somewhere and just start right there from that point.
And our options are, to me, pretty limitless. Whether you are in sales, business management, advertising,
accounting,
HR, legal,
marketing,
we have something for everyone.
Absolutely.
And you just continue to see people that get in this industry with you that are good. They just keep moving up. There's always, it seems like there's always something next for us. So there's no cap.
Absolutely, 100%. And it's recession-proof.
Absolutely. We're rental.
Let's throw that in there. Everybody needs a place to live.
Yes.
It's not always the easiest time, but it is definitely recession-proof.
Yeah, the recession hits, people still need a place to live.
Absolutely.
And we still need our carpets turned, and I mean, we still...
Everything more. Well, they might not need as much marketing because when we started, we hit when,
that might be affected a little bit, but
not
absolutely.
much. Not much. Absolutely, 100%. So that's amazing. That's really something that I love to tell people about that are not in the industry, my friends, or that are not in the business. I'm like, hey, you should really go and check this out. You know, they struggle if they come from a big salary. Talk a little bit about this for me. The few times that people have looked into it, you know, on the leasing side, they're like, oh, I'm going to start at that. I'm like, but you can move up.
Yes.
And you can move up quickly. And if you're closing, you know, like leases, and they're going to be like, rock star, let's promote you and give you more money. But they struggle with that. Talk a little bit, how did you overcome the amount of money that you're making as a bartender to being a leasing?
And that's probably why I was so reluctant at first, because I'm like, I'm walking away every night with so much cash. You know,
people don't realize how much cash.
Yeah, bartenders do pretty good, right?
You're a good bartender, absolutely, 100%.
So going to leasing, I'm like, that's all I'm gonna make an hour. And back then, I'm just like, really? That's it? I'm doing the math, like, this isn't gonna work. And she's like, well, but we have commissions, we have bonuses.
There you go.
You're gonna make as good as you produce. You're gonna continue to be making more.
Just like in the restaurant business.
Yes,
100%.
it was. And so, you know, that first month.
And by the way, you get normal hours.
Yes, and pretty close.
And then when Thanksgiving, like November 20th, people go slow mode and they're okay with you taking off.
Yes.
And then by the way, when what's the December cutoff date? People definitely are like checked out, or they're catching up on their own person. Nobody is like in high performance mode.
Well, we're actually closed for holidays, so that's something
and
there
you can take
too.
Vacation.
But yeah, it took me maybe a month to build it. I walked in, I was good at leasing. It crossed over very well from bartending. Maybe a month to build up my pipeline, and then my commissions started rolling in. And it was that aha, like, oh, I love that lady. That's why I went to work for her. Shout out Francesca.
Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, I see now. I see where
awesome.
I can keep going and making more. And it was less than a year that I was probably making more than I was bartending.
Awesome.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you,
Francesca.
And thank you, Anita.
Yes.
Shout out.
Yes.
Yes. For keeping Cayce, making them shine.
Yes. I still see them both all the time.
Yes,
yeah.
I do too. Well, not Francesca, but Anita. So what's the best advice you've ever been given by someone, whether they're in or out of the industry, that just kind of really resonated with you?
Best advice.
You know, tell the audience about like what really was that light bulb moment that was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because you're growing, you're developing, you know, room to grow in the apartment industry.
Yes.
It's all about your experiences and moving forward from them and taking the good with you, you know, as you grow.
I think as I've grown up to the current position that I'm in, I started being able to supervise and help develop other leaders and other supervisors. And Mr. Tall Guy, Marcin Kowski, told me one time, and this was maybe a year and a half ago, and I still think of this daily, in your position, people are going to fail, and you have to accept that. That's okay. Awesome. Because by failure, they're going to learn and they're going to grow.
Yeah.
So it's an industry and a position for me right now that I'm able to do that. Sometimes they might have a hiccup. We're not going to sweat the small stuff. We're going to pick them up. They're going to be that much better after that, and we're going to move forward.
Yeah. As long as they don't make the same mistake twice.
Amen. They're going to learn from it, I said.
Absolutely.
So I think that is a big piece. It's kind of like, what? My boss is telling me it's okay to let my team fail? But it is. It alleviates some of that pressure, and nobody's perfect.
Yeah, nobody's perfect.
And
that's
again, we're evolving so much every day, and there's so much new that I think accepting that and accepting my own failures and knowing that I'm going to learn from it and put that behind me and move forward better, has been really big for my career.
That is awesome. I can definitely say that, like, coming from the restaurant business, it wasn't advice, but it's certain things that stick out when you're talking about Dave. So Scott Wilder was one of the first person that I ever, sold to. And because of my training at Chili's as a manager,
I was Brinker. I was on the border.
What? Shut up,
right again.
Yeah. They had such great management training, and that's how I knew I didn't want to be in that restaurant management business for the rest of my life, because it's really like so personal. It's so tough. It just wasn't for me. I did a year there. It was awesome, and I made great friends. But because what I originally sold him was not something that he bought, I had to go sit down and show him and say, I know, like, I'm going to show you this, but I'm going to tell you that I know this is not what you bought, but we are going to make that right. And he's like, no problem. Okay, shook my hand, and out I went. And like, I was going to make it right, no cost to you, a whole lot of cost to us. But I made it right. And it's that, those moments in your career that you go, oh, that came in really handy. Because in the restaurant business, some places that do really well, like Brinker and some others, Snooze is another one, they teach you how to give that great customer service. And they teach you that, like, it's okay that your kitchen's going to mess up, the bartender's going to mess up, but you own it, have some empathy for them, and make it right.
Absolutely.
Make it right.
And in this industry, too, I think I've held 5 positions.
Tell me all 5 of them.
Well, leasing, and then I went to assistant manager. And then I was a property manager. I became a senior property manager, handling training and helping with acquisitions.
And what's your title now?
Then I became a regional.
Sorry.
And oversaw portfolio, and now I'm director of operations and get to oversee area managers who oversee portfolios.
That is awesome.
So as I've grown, I was somebody that I want to be perfect. I want to know the job in and out. Well, even with those promotions, I'm not going to. There's going to be a learning curve, and I'm not perfect. And taking that pressure off and knowing that that's okay, I think that's probably the best advice I've received. I wish I got it a long time ago.
That's awesome. Well, but you got it at the right time. You got it at the right time. And as I got to know Dave just a little bit when he was, a president of TAAEF. But he's very soft-spoken. He's such a big man. I was very, like, intimidated. But when you start talking to him, and I was like, I'm not going to try and pronounce your name because I already have a hard time with English as it is, just spelling. Then he's like, nah, it's okay, call him Big Dave. I'm like, oh, okay. But he, like, the fact that he knew you needed to hear that and say that to you so that you can continue to succeed and grow, that is awesome.
And we have big leaders in our industry. I know so many. I have Jeff Lowry and Dave at my company, and I hear of so many others and meet them here. And we have good leaders providing good leadership to leaders.
And then leading other ones along. Like, people are paying things forward because somebody did that for you. Like, I'm always about, like, inclusion, bring the new folks in, because I was once a new kid. I knew one person when I started in the apartment business 15 years ago. So, but I got in my local, then slowly started meeting all those old dudes out there. Shout out, you know who you are. The Dallas Apartment Association and Tarrant County. And then, Angie Pusateri was one of the first suppliers that I met, her dad. But rest in peace, Tony Pusateri, that, like, people guided me along my way. So I'm always open to educating someone else about, whether they listen to me or not. Okay, I'm not so attached to it anymore, but
I think that's such a common story. I see that everywhere in our industry.
So that's awesome. Well, thank you, Cayce. I really appreciate you sitting down, being brave with me.
This was scary, but it was awesome.
It was easy, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay, I made it.
It was.
You made it so easy to talk to you too. So how can folks, connect with you if they want to, learn more about you or Madeira?
LinkedIn is probably the best way.
Oh, the LinkedIn.
So yes, I am Cayce Coon, and that's Coon with a C, Coon. And you could find me on LinkedIn, and I would love to share more about Madeira, and I'll talk about myself too if you're interested.
She's got pretty babies.
Yes, I do. 2 beautiful babies. So feel free to hit me up just about that.
Awesome. Well, and if you know someone that needs a career and needs to cross over and needs to hear Cayce's story, please tag them in the comments or even share this episode with them. We would love that as well. And until next week, from Industry Celebrities and TAAEF, there is more room to grow in multifamily.
Yep.
Bye. Tune in next week.
Bye.